What's going on? What's going on? It has been a long time. It has been a long time. My man, back at it again with my guy Vish. Vish, how are you doing? You are a sight for sore eyes. What's going on, brother?
Dude, I did this. I look at me. I got a smile on my face. Literally, this could have been like one of the most somber beginnings. That game took, a few years off my life. If you can't see, I'm sporting a few new grays from that game. But it's
Yeah,
awesome to be back streaming with you, and we're back after another Niners win. How about that?
man, I love it. I love it. We're on to the NFC championship game, but we got to be real. This one was ugly. This one was ugly. Uh, I'll start it off. Niners gave up their first 100-yard rushing uh, effort on defense since Justin Fields in 2001.
Mm.
Aaron Jones rushed for 108 yards on 18 carries, 6 yards per carry with a long of 53. Jordan Love was 21 for 34, 194 yards, 5.7 yards per average, 2 touchdowns, 2 picks, a long of 38 with a quarterback rating of 72.4. And as far as receiving is concerned, the Packers were per usual. Everybody got some. Aaron Jones had 3 receptions. Romeo Dobbs, 4 receptions for 83, 13.8 a carry, a long of 38. Couple of more yards that he kind of helped out the home team from by way of courtesy of Ambry Thomas. Tucker Kraft, he was 3 catches for 9 yards. Bo Melton, we all saw his 1 catch for 19 yards and what that did to us. Jaden
And a
Reed
drawn
was
pass interference penalty.
right before that. Thanks again, Ambry Thomas. Jaden Reed, 4 catches for 35 yards, 8.8. He was there. Utility guy. Luke Musgrave, 3 catches for 14 yards. I mean, everybody got some. Emmanuel Wilson got a catch. Christian Watson got a catch. Ben Simmons got a catch. You get a catch. You get a catch. I mean, I felt like Oprah was out there for a second. They distributed the ball all over the place, and they led with the run. We got an issue with stopping the run. You can't say that we don't. We were off for 20 days. Everybody's back. Nobody was gone. And we sorely miss Cleveland Farrell. Full stop. Cleveland Farrell not playing and being a guy that sets the edge for us is a big deal. And you saw that today. You saw that today. You saw that with Jordan. You saw that with Jordan Love getting outside of the pocket and rushing. You saw that with Aaron Jones getting outside of the pocket and rushing. Defensively, I want to be fair. It was a slippery turf. It wasn't a fair turf for both sides, right? It was a little compromised. So we saw some slips on some big plays and some explosives. The Packers got into the red zone a lot early and often. They definitely didn't capitalize on a lot of their drives. But I'm more concerned with our run game, our run fits for the defensive line. And setting the edge in run fit on defensive line that I'm concerned about anything else on our defense. What say you, Vish?
Yeah, I think there's a step further to this. The Randy Gregory, Chase Young additions that we have been parading about and we've been talking about, like, oh, it's big difference. I mean, Chase Young, I think we can see why he was traded for a compensatory pick now. He's not the game-changing talent that we thought he was. He's a nice player on the Niners defensive line. He occasionally gets pressure and all of that, but he's not really a dominating force. Nick Bosa is the dominating force on this defensive line. I think the run game thing, it has been an issue. I think we've noticed it since preseason. The thing that I've pointed out in the past about them being unable to be run on, and the reason they had the number 1 run defense in the NFL is they also were attempted against the least runs in the NFL this year.
Right.
And that's simply because game script would take the other team away from running the football. We talked about it during the 3-game winning or losing streak, that what Minnesota did, what Cleveland did, what Cincinnati did was they were committed to running the football, and they were committed to running the football once they got ahead. And that's why the Niners defense, once they were, down in football games is unable to get stops because teams stay balanced. And when teams are staying balanced, they're able to run the football in the 49ers. And the 49ers' other issue that's different from years in the past is they're a bad third down defense this year. They're the 24th ranked third down defense this year, and they're specifically bad in third and short, which is when there's a run and pass option. They're actually quite good in third and 6 and above. They're not very good in third and short, third and 5 and below, because they don't stop the run that well. And so given those issues, I think Green Bay exposed opportunity by seizing opportunity based on a game script that went their way. What I was kind of impressed by from this Niners defense, because I think you nailed the issues. We've been talking about these issues all year, was just their ability to lock in and get stops when they needed to. In sudden change situations, holding a field goal early in the game, they were able to make a couple of plays all around just to keep themselves alive. I think there's two clear weaknesses for me, coach, on this football team. I know we talked about the defensive line and all of that. That's not that big of a deal for me. I think that's just, something on this team that isn't as good. Ambry Thomas right now is a weakness. He did not look
a big weakness
in this game. It wasn't just a footing issue. He did not seem confident when the ball was in the air. When a corner starts grabbing immediately when the ball is in the air instead of finding the ball out of the air, that means they're losing their poise in that moment. They're a little nervous,
out of phase,
tracking the ball, and pretty much that was the issue for him. And then the other issue for me, coach, is Logan Ryan. Logan Ryan is a step slow for me out there. I guess he's better than Jair Brown. I'd assume that's why he's playing over Jair Brown, who was a little questionable for me early when he started, but he seemed to be improving. Those would be two things that I think that we have to monitor, because this defense can get some plays up against in the case when we look at those two guys. Besides that, though, coach, I was impressed in a lot of ways with the way the defense kept this team in the game. I mean, Dre Greenlaw.
Oh, hell yeah. We don't win without our defense.
100%. Dre Greenlaw was flying around everywhere. Fred Warner had a good game. I thought Nick Bosa, this was one of the most best dominant Nick Bosa games I've seen in a while. Nick Bosa was in that backfield every single play. It felt like he played outstanding to me. And that really excuse me, I can't talk right now. I'm excited. That's
man, do your thing.
That's really what this game came down to for me, is that the Niners defensive stars in key moments, whether it was Warner, whether it was Bosa, one negative play, one way to push a drive back, one stop in the red zone, whether it was Mooney Ward, they made those plays. And that's why the Niners were able to keep the game going until they finally put together one good drive on offense.
Yeah, I mean, the way I saw the game, honestly, is that I just had a little bit of the issue with how Kyle leans on Brock in these games. I mean, he really doesn't give him any type of training wheels whatsoever. He goes into this 5-wide situation, and I understand that that's what Brock did at Iowa State. I get that. And I understand that those are the concepts that he likes, and he loves to get the ball out, because once you spread him out, Brock has quick twitch to be able to get intermediate and short passing lanes. We see that. We get that. But that's not who we are, right? And when you start doing that from a context of the entire team has to be married to that type of football, it just isn't what you need to do during certain contexts of the game.
Especially in
case in point.
Oh, excuse me. I didn't want to interrupt.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
No, you're fine. Case in point, the first drive of the game. Christian McCaffrey gets one carry. We go 3 shotgun passes, an offsides by Aaron Banks, a short pass to Debo, and he gets injured. He's out of the game. And then that's all she wrote. First drive, poof, done. And it's like, what is wrong with getting in 12, handing the ball off 3 to 4 times, getting Debo in a screen? Like, what's wrong with just making these guys tackle us first? Like, why, as an offensive line coach, former coach, and as an offensive line former player, when I play a game, man, I want to go forward. I want to go put my hands on this guy. Let me block him. All right. I don't understand why Kyle is so fixated on highlighting what Brock can do in the short intermediate passing game. It's like, bro, that's something that he can add to his that can be added to the tapestry of the game. But we don't have to lead with that. And lo and behold, it happens every week we play. Every time we get off the ground offensively, what happens? Christian McCaffrey gets a healthy dose and we score. Why do we have to fuck up for first 2 drives or the first drive of the game before we realize that we're a running football team. Why? I don't get it.
But I don't think that was the case. I think that they were stuck into this plan on the way they felt like they can exploit this defense. If you notice, they do this against the Rams as well, where they motion out of empty and kind of spread out this front the way they do. And then once they spread it out, they try to exploit the gaps in between their zone defenses over the middle of the field. My issue was Deebo Samuel got hurt in the first quarter of this football game. And it felt like,
Changed
okay,
everything.
the plan doesn't work with Deebo Samuel out because they were able to start matching up within zone coverage better, right? Like Jair Alexander had a pretty strong game against Brandon Ayuk when they matched up
Yes.
against each other in this game. They were able to get a few doubles in on Ayuk and a few doubles in on Christian McCaffrey, right? They didn't really let George Kittle get out. But here's the biggest point in all of this, okay? His quarterback wasn't equipped to play this kind of game today. That was the issue. You know, whether it was the wet football, whether it was the glove, not able to grip it, I don't know what the issue is. We've talked about, hey, he hasn't thrown the wet football well in the past, right? He didn't do that well when the ball was wet early versus Seattle in the wild card game. He struggled versus Cleveland. Like, this could be a lingering issue for him. But today he was a little erratic, and today he was a little, I mean, with people around him, he was a little jumpy, and his passes were, floating on him. They were going into a lot of areas. He almost threw 2 picks. It was not the kind of game that you needed to drop him back 41 times. Like, that was where it was like, okay, Deebo got hurt. Yeah, I know we wanted to come into this game, be in shotgun and spread it out and do these kinds of things. But look, Deebo got hurt in this game. My quarterback isn't throwing it the way he usually does because we're having whatever issues with the wet football. Why not get condensed? Like you said, getting 21 personnel, getting 12 personnel. On paper, we talked about it. This should be the better team. This should be the more physical team.
They're 28th in the league in rushing defense.
Right. And I didn't get by the way, I felt like in a lot of ways, the Packers defensive line took it to the 49ers offensive line. I felt like the Packers secondary tackled and hit in the open field harder and faster. And were, in a lot of ways, the physical matchup was not with the discrepancy I expected it to be. In a lot of ways, I thought the Packers out hit the 49ers. In a lot of moments, I thought they did. It wasn't that the 49ers necessarily cowered from the Packers' physicality. They were up to it, but they weren't enforcing their physicality on Green Bay the way they do on other teams. It was back and forth, back and forth. And I thought it was a great opportunity for the 49ers to outlast them. Now, the way they did win the game, coach, to me is positive. This is not something we've seen this team do, which is win a game like this where it gets ugly. You're not playing your best.
It was good to see.
Find a way to win.
It was good to see. It was good to see.
All of those things are really good. It was good to see them have a got-to-have-it drive when they had to have it, and Purdy make a couple of really good throws on that drive when he needed it. It was good to see a guy like Juwan Jennings in a game like this make a lot of small, meaningful
Juwan
plays,
had a game.
With physical tone, with the way he blocked. Like, they missed this guy so much. He played his butt off. And so there were a lot of little things.
Can I say this?
Go ahead. Yeah, go for it.
We don't win this game if Deebo and Juwan are both out of this game.
Oh, no chance. No chance.
I feel like Juwan did a remarkable job in Deebo's stead. He did a remarkable job. I also wanted to touch on something else, Vish. The deferring on purpose so you can purposely lap your opponent. I understand that logic, but I feel like that's something that you should be able to lean to, but not at the detriment of your team and not at the detriment of clock management.
Before you go there, because I agree with the point you made, I don't think it has anything to do with the deferring. I think the deferring is a sound concept, but the clock management, and this is where you do need to elaborate on this, because this point is right on. The clock management after you defer
horrible
at the 40-yard line with a minute to go and 3 timeouts, and you play to kick a 50-yard field goal that you end up getting blocked and going to half. That was terrible. That was terrible clock management.
First of all, even if you're gonna do it, why are you not trying to play for the touchdown? He purposely
in 1 minute.
He purposely called the timeout so he could set up the kick. Like, Kyle coaches like it's fucking Madden. He purposely knows, as long as I don't have my fucking hot pocket grease on the controller, I can make the right kick. That's not the way it works. Like, I do not understand this. Even if you're going to have the clock management before the half, purposely burning the clock down so you can get in a position on the field where you feel as though Jake Moody can make the best kicks is not sound ball. That ain't sound. That ain't it, bro. You can't do that. It's like sometimes we get caught up trying to reinvent the wheel when the right thing to do is in plain sight. I don't understand why, for us to be at our optimum level as a team, we have to dumb ourselves down. Why is that a thing? Why is that a thing? Vish, I'm going to tell you right now, it's going to get rougher. Detroit is not a world beater. Neither is Tampa. I don't know what's going to happen with them tomorrow. But if you really want to be cynical about this game,
Detroit will be a tough matchup for them, Coach. Tampa won't be, but Detroit will be a tough matchup for them because Detroit, the one thing they do is they run the football. And we've seen teams that can stay committed to running the football against the 49ers. You can get into a game script because their offense isn't able to build momentum. They're not able to build possessions, and you can turn it into a long, drawn-out, back-and-forth game. This game that Green Bay took it to, Detroit has a couple of different things about them than Green Bay, but the one consistent and the one thing that's special about them is, dude, Monty and Gibbs, is there a better running back duo in the sport? I'm totally with that point that you're making here. I'm totally with it that, there is an exposure in playing this game and playing it so conservatively with the better football team and drawing out these games and reducing possessions and opportunities for you to score, because it did turn into you had to be perfect with 4 minutes left to win this game because you robbed yourself of an opportunity to score a touchdown before the half because you gave up 30 seconds so that we could all see a commercial.
Yeah. What really kills me is if you really want to be cynical about this game, right? If you just want to put this game in a nutshell, you could just honestly say the reason why the Packers won is because, the reason why the Niners won is because the Packers can't catch picks.
Yeah.
Like they just can't catch picks, and they can't catch pick sixes, to be quite honest with you, because there was a couple of those too. I don't agree with how we start games with trying to showcase what Brock can do through the intermediate pass game. I just think it's irresponsible for the amount of guys that we have. And then you look at it, you get Debo on an out route. He goes, bangs his shoulder. He's out for the game. It's like, my man, like, I just don't feel like he protects his players. It's about how he feels comfortable with moving forward in the game. And there's not going to be teams that are going to let us off the hook this way. As a matter of fact, there's going to be teams with a better run game than what we saw today. Okay. I don't necessarily think we're going to see a better offensive line in the NFC side of things, but
Detroit.
You think Detroit's offensive line is better than the Packers' offensive line?
A little bit, yeah. Green Bay's has become really good. I'm with you, but
That's what I'm saying.
Zach Tom got hurt in this game. Penei Sewell's a little different animal. They got Taylor Decker. Frank Ragnow is all-pro center. There's something a little bit more to Detroit there. And I do think Aaron Jones is a special runner, Coach. Like, if we're talking running backs in the NFL behind Christian McCaffrey, is Aaron Jones not like 2, 3, 4 somewhere in that conversation right there? He's special.
He's a gifted runner.
Monty and Gibbs are also quite the duo.
Definitely. So I wanted to get into defensive performances. Who did you think was a good standout defensively on this game for us?
Yeah, I think the obvious ones are Bosa, Dre Greenlaw, right? All of those kinds of guys. I thought Eric Armstead, especially in short yardage situations, they had a couple of key 3rd and 1, 4th and 1 type stops. I thought he was terrific, specifically the one earlier in the game, right? Green Bay gets all the way down to the red zone at 3-0, and they get that 4th and 1 on the QB sneak. It was kind of a questionable spot. I couldn't really tell from the replay. It was a favorable spot for the 49ers. That was a terrific job by him. Mooney Ward, other than the one play he fell down, had a pretty strong game. I thought Deommodore Lenoir, his energy, the way he competed, I thought he was terrific. I thought there were a lot of players that really played their butt off on this defense.
For me, it's all day about Dre, man. It's Dre Greenlaw. He was all over the place. 8 tackles, 6 solo, 1 tackle for loss, 2 interceptions, 1 for 25 yards, and 2 pass defense. passes deflected. Before I get into just how good of a day he had, Dre, get down, bro. Like,
Yeah, that was crazy. That was crazy.
I love the picks, Dre, but please get down. Please, just anything can happen, bro. Just get on the ground, bro. Please.
By the way, the chat is saying, "Oh, Nick Bosa being whooped, whatever." The guy had 5 quarterback hits today.
Oh, nah,
5.
no. Let me tell you something. I think I can translate what the chat is trying to say, right? So let me be the arbiter. In the beginning of the game, there was no one who was having a good game. The first drive was abysmal. The Packers tried to do to us what they did to the Cowboys. They tried to shove the ball down our throat. They tried to assert the line of scrimmage, dominate the line of scrimmage. And another thing that they did, and I think this is the thing about the Niners, man, because we're the hunted and not the hunters, people add to the resume of what they can put together to beat us. And I'm going to tell you, there was another new wrinkle that I saw that the Green Bay did against us that was a little bit different even for them, because it wasn't even emblematic of how they offensively have moved throughout the year, which is they love to take time of possession. They love to take the air out of the ball.
Mhm.
But one thing that they were doing is they were running hurry up against us in the first drive. They started running hurry up. They sped the ball up against us, and it was working. They were getting success on the ground because of it. And a lot of guys, including Nick Bosa, basically the entire defense, they were on their heels. They didn't really know what to do. These are a couple of things that I just wrote down just in the first drive, right? In the first drive, I want to go over what basically how it looked in the first drive. Jordan Love bells to the packet, quick pass. He's moving the pocket. That's another thing that Green Bay was doing. They started moving the pocket. Jordan Love really wasn't molested or bothered for the first half of the game. He did quite a good job sitting back there and getting the ball out. They did that by moving the pocket with him. Nick Bosa, he gets blocked on the inside. They were cracking on the inside. Sebastian Joseph Day, he got pushed out of his gap in a couple of plays. Sebastian Joseph Day and Nick Bosa, as well as Javon Kinlaw, got pushed out of their gaps. That was all in the first drive when they were just moving the ball against us. So, yeah, I did feel like the intensity from Nick Bosa did pick up a level once he understood. I feel like with guys like Nick, it's about timing. He really has to understand how much energy do I need to exert to, one, get off the ball, have my get off as fast as possible. Two, shoot my move off or my recovery move on my defender in front of me. And three, what's the motive? How I got to get to this quarterback? And it does take a couple of drives for for pass rushers to kind of get that minutia. So I will say, in the beginning, it did look a little disjointed, especially from just
But
a
that's
unit.
where Green Bay's offensive line is also quite good, right? And when
Mhm.
you're able to get ahead of the sticks, and to me that was really the key. Because when you're talking about, hey, the Niners defensive line dominates games, they do certain things to get their defensive line to dominate games, right, coach? It's not just that their defensive line comes out and every single play they're in the backfield and whatever. This isn't that's not how football works. What they do is they get a lead, they eliminate the run game, and then they get you into 2nd and 10, 3rd and 9,
Mhm.
3rd and 11. And then their pass rushers tee off and get sacks. What Green Bay was doing earlier when you brought up those runs is they were getting 2nd and 6, or they were getting 2nd and 10 and turning it into 3rd and 1. They were taking
Mhm.
2nd and 9 and turning it into 3rd and 2. They were getting a lot of really strong second down running from whoa, look at that.
I
This
mean,
guy needs to worry about
I just
tomorrow.
wanted to
But
say
they were
this
getting
though.
strong second down running from Aaron Jones, and that was able to then create disjointed moments like you said for the 49ers defensive line. But I think that when you ultimately have him drop back, like, look, I don't know. I did I not watch a game where Nick Bosa did get to the quarterback? I thought he did. To me, Jordan Love stood in there tough. The one thing Jordan Love hasn't done a lot this year is take a lot of sacks. This isn't like Jalen Hurts. The guy doesn't take a lot of sacks. He stands in there and he gets the ball out. And
He
he
gets
made
the
a lot
ball
of
out.
throws. He made a lot of throws with Bosa barreling down on him, people on him. Like Bosa hit Josh Neiman with that mean spin move. And Jordan Love throws an Aaron Rodgers seed. That was Rodgers-esque in a tight window to Romeo Doubs near the goal line with
That was
him right in
tough.
his face. So like there were
That
a
was
few
tough.
plays made by Jordan Love where it was like, whoa, Jordan Love is really like showing that he can be a big time quarterback. And so I don't know that if Bosa basically doesn't get 3 sacks in a game, are we just going to have a discussion that he didn't play well? Because I personally, coach, of the Niners defensive lineman, I thought he was definitely the most impactful. I was disappointed in the Chase Young performance. I was disappointed in the Randy Gregory performance. Javon Hargrave, I was disappointed in his performance. Javon Kinlaw, I thought was actually somewhat impactful when he played. Eric Armstead, to me, was solid. So I thought there were more issues around Nick Bosa than just Nick Bosa, and that was why he wasn't able to finish plays. And if you've noticed something with Bosa, he's great at creating pressure, and this has been an issue since his rookie year. If other linemen don't come and close the space, he's not the best guy in terms of finishing plays and getting sacks. That's why it took him so long in his career, whether it was college and pros, to have a 10-sack season. Because sometimes when he gets real close, he can get juked out of the way by a Jordan Love, or he can get pulled out. And that's kind of what ended up happening a little bit in this game. And dude, I also thought they got moved in the run game, which might be a greater issue and a greater discussion point, especially if they go Detroit, Baltimore back to back, because they're going to definitely come forward and do what you described. And so that's going to be a different conversation. But do you want to talk Niners offense? I think that there's a lot that happened with this defense, and we're going to cover it for the entire week. But
yeah, I mean, yeah, we got all week, but for me, offensively, I look, man, I wanted to see us just run the ball, bro. Like, and even when you don't have, you know what it shows, and I'm gonna just say it, he doesn't trust him. He doesn't trust him. He knows that if I got about like 15 hardcore runs that I can get with these boys before they start falling apart at the seams. Right. And I can't use these guys as just a catch-all where it's like, well, I just run the ball when I want to. I don't think Kyle has that luxury. And I think Kyle knows he doesn't have that luxury. And he gets really creative to try to engineer run yards, or what would be perceived as run yards.
Their run game isn't even running. We've described this, right? It's just finding different ways to get their best player touches. So when they run the ball all of these times before, when they were doing it with Raheem Mostert, Tevin Coleman, they were setting an identity. It was, we're going to run outside zone 4 times in a row because you're not going to be able to stop it. We're stopping this as a unit. For them now, it's a little bit of, we need to get our best player 25 touches in a game because he changes the game. And that's what happened today. A lot of their best runs, they had the one run on the touchdown, which they opened up a big seam for him. It was him and Darnell Savage one-on-one in the alley, and he made him look silly, and he scored. But besides that, a lot of their biggest runs in this game, coach, a lot of them going to running the football, even when they were down in this game, was just like, holy crap, we're not able to do anything on offense. This is the easiest way to get 23 the ball. It wasn't a case of, hey, we can run the football on this team and we can force our identity on these people. It was, hey, we have one really great player. He needs to help us out in this game, and he did that. He was, to me, Christian McCaffrey, Aaron Jones and Christian McCaffrey were the 2 best players in this game. What did you think?
Yeah, Aaron Jones and Christian McCaffrey and Dre Greenlaw.
On offense. Yeah.
Yeah.
On offense.
Yeah,
That's what I immediately realized that, yes.
I'm sorry. Yeah, but yeah, I agree with you 100%. I mean, for me, I needed to see us win from behind. We saw that. You know, beggars can't be choosers, and perfect isn't on the menu. So I understand that we definitely didn't get the game that we wanted, what we expected. I thoroughly thought that we were going to dominate these guys.
Yeah.
But the facts are is that football remains to be football, no matter who's wearing the logos, no matter who's coaching the teams. And if you can't run the ball, and if you can't stop the run, you're going to have issues, no matter what you do in ball, especially in playoff football. And we played in an atmosphere right now where passing the ball was at a premium. It wasn't necessarily something that needed to be done. And I think we paid for it. We were clunky. Brock did not have a good day. It's okay to admit that. He didn't have a good day. All right.
Sorry about that. Go ahead. Finish your point. That's on
he
me.
struggled in the first half. All right. He struggled in the first half, and he cleaned it up. He went 5 for 6, I believe, in the last drive. He went 5 for 6 for 47 yards with the drop from George Kittle in the last drive. So he showed improve when he needed to.
Mhm.
And he
Mhm.
did it against a defense that, quite frankly, should have been scored on. All things matter. And one of those is that Brock beat a mediocre defense. That defense is mediocre. Full stop. All right. And for what we showed, I just feel as though that the reason why they were in the game is because we got out game planned a little bit on offense and we got taken out of our identity. And our identity is running the ball. And as soon as Deebo Samuel went out of the game, what was the first thing that this is something that I've always talked about. My man, coaching is not about game planning. It's not about putting together your script and running the plays that you think are going to do good in a simulated atmosphere when you're watching film. All right. The first tenets of everything, not even football, just sports in general, it never plays out how it's drawn up. It just doesn't. Okay. You can write it on the board all you want, but there's a human element to how this stuff translates on the field. And when you're in high stakes moments where everything is being scrutinized as far as defense in playoffs atmospheres, it's hard for you to put a lot of plays with a lot of moving parts that you think is going to work in those situations. Like at those times, nobody's bringing you got to look at the playoffs as almost kind of like, I don't know, like a bake-off or like a fair. Nobody brings the recipe that they just found on Google 3 months before the fair. No, you make your apple pie. The one you've been making for years that is can't miss, that everybody knows you loves, because at this stage of the game, you need no room for error. And we just
And you
didn't
take
see that
chances, right? You take chances. You expect them to make their apple pie. And whatever counters you're going to sell out to stop the apple pie, you're going to do it. And if they do something different, they got you. But you're not going to say that they're going to change their tendency and whatever. And that's kind of what I felt from Green Bay. They kind of sold out to stop the staples of the 49ers offense. And where the 49ers offense typically succeeds in situations where teams sell out to do this is they're more talented than you, because when you get those 5 eligible players all together, they can really be dominant. But when Deebo goes out, it can be a little bit difficult in those situations. I don't want to invest too much into this game, because I do think that there were other variables like the weather, people losing footing and stuff that played into it. And I do think there's also an element of, hey, as much as I would have loved to have seen them blown out Green Bay, I also really liked seeing them win this style game, coach. Now, they were lucky in some aspects to win this style game, but to actually have a game where you're down, you have to find a way to get a couple of clutch stops, whether the kicker misses the kick, which helps you out a little bit, or, a couple things, or they don't catch a pick six, couple of things like that happen. They did win this style of football game, and I do think that that was impressive. But there's definitely issues on this team that they need to clean up, because the one thing I did notice with them winning this style game, coach, is that by the way they won this style game, I don't think it's sustainable to win this style game for them. I think Green Bay, being a young team, made some mistakes for them to be able to stay alive in this one. And they capitalized on them. And the Niners capitalized because in a lot of ways they were the more veteran and better team. But if we're talking about winning in Super Bowl, I don't know that you're going to get these mistakes to be able to overcome all what went wrong for the Niners. And I think the Niners should be aware of that they need to play a much cleaner, much higher level, much better game in order to win. You want to hit these supers?
Yeah, real quick. I'm interested to see what they have to say after the game. I really am. Are they gonna? I really want to see the attitude around some of the commentary on how Kyle speaks, how some of the players speak.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I'm very interested. I'm gonna leave that there. I will
Me
say
too.
this. I will say this. Um, it's all uphill from here, right?
I agree.
Because we played against a very, very young team. As a matter of fact, we played against the youngest team in the NFL. That's the youngest team in the NFL
One of the youngest teams ever to make the playoffs.
ever.
Yeah.
Okay. So what we basically did is we got out there on the court and played with some high schoolers. And the only reason why we won is that they don't know how to play. They don't know how to play post defense yet. So we just backed them down and just sat over a couple of layups. But truth be told, if we had to run up and down the court and play 5-on-5 with these youngsters, they would have ran our asses off the court. They would have ran us off the court. The fact is that we out-experienced these guys, and we just played in bigger moments than these guys. And that's as collectively as a team. That's why we won.
They held their nerve. Green Bay lost their nerve a little bit once they took that 21-17 lead. They missed a kick, right? Jordan Love's accuracy started to go away. He had a couple of times where the Niners got him. Steve Wilkes, by the way, I wanted to mention that. We didn't hit that on the defense. He had a couple of really nice sim pressures on third downs where Jordan Love got. He thought there was pressure. He dropped back. There wasn't pressure. He got.
Where he got that from?
Where
he got that from Baltimore.
Yeah.
He started. Those were the same sim pressures that Baltimore was running against us. I see what you did. Coach Wilkes. I see what you did.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
But yeah, so he got, and Jordan Love, in those moments, I do think down the stretch of this game, Jordan Love's young inexperience as a quarterback started to show. He got a couple of times. He looked a little frantic. He missed a couple of throws. He hadn't been missing the entire game in the pocket. So I did think they did a very nice job from that standpoint. But yeah, that did definitely aid them in that situation because they were more built for this moment than Green Bay. Green Bay didn't hold their nerve because of what a young team they are, while the Niners did. But man, Coach, I can't get over that decision at the end of the half. I mean, we'll hit on the supers, but that loses you a game against anybody else. It wasn't just that, okay, your team didn't play the best game. You didn't have the best plan. You got out schemed. You had a golden opportunity with the minute left, 3 timeouts, and basically just, you were basically at half field and you had only half
the opportunity.
Right. The best case shouldn't have been kicking a 50-yard field goal. And I know he missed it, but he also made a very clutch kick later from 50 yards that they made him drive. And
at the very worst, this should have been a chip shot.
Yeah,
this should have been a chip shot.
Right. 100%. And that type of coaching, that type of conservative coaching, I think a lot of the things about the players, Coach, I think they'll play better in another game. But I think that with Kyle Shanahan is a consistency. And I love Kyle Shanahan. I'll compliment Kyle Shanahan. I'll defend Kyle Shanahan. But if he continues to do that, that will lose them games against a Baltimore. Against a team
any better team. Let me put it like this. And I'm sorry, Vish, for cutting in on. I don't want to step on your dope, but I'm gonna put it like this: any team that is worth their salt and weight would have been insulted by that. They would have been insulted by that. The coaching staff, the players
should have been insulted by that.
But the thing about it, what's so crazy about it is that the Packers are so young that they don't even know what they don't know. They were just happy that they missed. They were just happy that they missed it. And we're over here like, bro, why are you playing?
If you're Brock Purdy, if you're Christian McCaffrey, you're not pissed off in that moment. You were the best offense in the NFL all year. You were the best offense in the NFL all year against this 28th ranked defense because they got us a couple of times in the first half. We're now going to go into our shell like a turtle.
We're the best offense in the league by numbers. We're not the best offense in the league by standard. All right, because when you believe you're the best by standard, then intent is an aroma. You can smell it. It is what it is. Like okay. And I hate to do this because I know somebody is gonna hop on me about this, but the Ravens, did you see what the Ravens did to the Texans? Yeah. That was the number 2 rushing defense in the league. And they refused to stop running the ball. They refused. We're going to run the ball all
the
day.
Ball to their best player. Continue driving.
Even when we're up, we're going to run the ball. Even when we're up, we're going to run the ball. We don't care that you're the number 2 defense in the league. All right? It's stopping the run. There's too much evading, engineering, obfuscation, scheming, right, with our offense, where I feel as though that at what point are we going to understand that maybe all of the guys on our offense are valuable because of their role in a scheme? But that's not playoff football. That's not football, bro. It's Jimmy's and Joe's over X's and O's, man. There's going to be a time in these games, like you saw today, where it's not about scheme, it's about just playing. I'm better than you. Hat on a hat, one-on-one. And I feel like Kyle robs our offense of those opportunities with them worrying about the scheme so much. Like,
and this was
why aren't we
versus
imposing
Dallas
our
last
will?
year, right? This is what Kyle Juszczyk brought up versus Dallas last year. Like, let's stop
Yes, he
going
went
side
up
to
to
side. Let's
Kyle.
go, yeah. And it's not to me. It is a little bit of like as good as their team is schematically. We do feel like they're more talented. This is why I didn't feel like Green Bay would have a chance because I felt like when it came down to it, okay, the Niners would just say like F all that scheme stuff. We're better than you. You're too young. You're kids. We're old. We've been here before. We're going to do it and we're going to go right down the field. And they kind of did that in that last drive. The last drive was like, F it. We got to go for broke. We got to go with what we think is going to work because this is our last chance at the ball. They got the ball to Christian McCaffrey. Brock Purdy made a couple of nice throws. The one to Chris Conley, to me, was the best throw of his game. It was on time. It was accurate. It was a great throw. And that they ended up winning the game on that. But that's scary. And then the other thing, Coach, before we get to the supers, let's just touch on it real quick. The kickoff coverage is a fear. When Moody kicks it through the end zone, we just don't notice it. I know Keyshawn Nixon's an all-pro, but it is a fear with this football team. Their kickoff coverage just sucks. And Flanagan fouls. That was a great hustle play, lucky strip, insane recovery. The broadcast went over the recovery like 18 different times.
Midair.
I don't think we need to cover it. Yeah,
Yeah,
so
that was
nasty.
recovery.
But yeah, that was lucky.
They went right down on us. Special teams, right?
Yeah.
Where's
right
Coach Hightower?
Right after a big touchdown, too, right? Like that. How much do you think that killed momentum? Back. Right. How much did that kill momentum? This was a strong win, though, regardless, right? It's good to see them win that football game and for us to talk for 42 minutes and it feels like we've been negative. It just shows the expectations we have for this football team. It shows how good they can be. But it's also nice to see them win a game that we don't think they played their best.
I don't necessarily see us being negative. I feel like everything that we've said is the truth.
I agree.
Right?
I didn't mean negative as
you know
in
what I mean?
Like rude. I just mean negative as in our immediate reaction isn't the 49ers just won a playoff game. It's, hey, all of these things went wrong and they worry me because we had an expectation they were going to win this game by so much, right? Like if you were Green Bay and they win this game, do you think they're going to talk about the 2 drop picks? They're going to be like, holy crap, we won this game. And so that's where I think.
I don't know. I just feel like, everything plays, man. Let me put it like this. If this was the Super Bowl, do you feel good about this?
If this is the Super Bowl and they won?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, hell yeah. I feel good.
Was today a championship effort?
It was a championship win. It was not a championship effort. Championship win in the sense that championship teams, when they're the better team and all of this goes wrong, they get the result that the Niners got, which is the W. Mm-hmm. But championship teams don't play and rely on the things that the Niners had to rely upon today. So it was both.
Okay. You want to get to the supers?
Let's hit them.
All right, bro. Smack Jones. Thank you. $4.99. 1-31 when coming back down 7 or more in the fourth. The Brock effect, baby. Ugly loss for sure, but at least we've seen the worst of us and only up from here. Is this the worst of us?
I don't know about that.
I don't know how we look opening a game without Deebo Samuel if in fact he is out next week, right? Because he didn't finish the game, so we don't understand what that looks like.
And he went out pretty quick. It felt like the Cleveland game all over again. Which gets hurt early, shoulder. He comes back for a play, then he's gone out of sight, out of mind, and then he's like just done.
It felt like he knew exactly what it was.
Mm-hmm. And it felt like it was that same injury with the entire dude. I felt like it was like they cut the entire TV screen of what happened in the Cleveland game, put it in on this game, and then the same actions they showed of him, it all felt the same. He came in for one play in that game too. Yeah.
I'm going to tell you right now, at one point, I thought it was a concussion because I was so fixated on him getting his helmet hit. I didn't even think it was anything from his shoulder at first until like they started saying that it was his shoulder. Green Glassville, $1. Thanks, bro.
Thank you.
Green Glassville, $2. Thank you. Real talk, J-Love is overrated. No.
Depends on where you rate him.
It depends on where. Yeah, that's true. It depends on where you rate him, Green Glassville. But I feel like he's rated adequately.
We'll see how his career turns out. He's played 1 year. But the last few games, and I haven't seen his full season, coach, so I'll go back and do that this offseason just out of pure
Mhm.
interest. I want to watch every game he's played. Just that's how we could evaluate players better. But he looks like he has everything. We'll find out if he puts it together over a longer
Mhm.
period of time, but he looks like he has everything.
Yeah, he's got a promising career for sure. Daniela, $5. Thank you. Purdy ain't it. The team is happy for the win, but Purdy makes me nervous going forward. All right, so let's deal with this. Today is definitely the day where you can put this quote in and it may have some legs,
Mhm.
right? Because obviously Brock was pulled along today. He didn't pull anybody with him. He got
Mhm.
pulled along today. And you have to look at the weather, right? Brock hasn't played long, but he's played long enough for there to be trends with his play. And it's 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 officially a thing now. Brock cannot play it with wet balls.
Mhm.
Pause. Pause. Brock does
I
not
wouldn't
play
even have
with.
noticed that. Good for you.
I'm sorry, that even I came right out and just, oh my goodness, the radar just went right off. So, but playing in rain really uh hurts Brock. It's definitely something that starts highlighting deficiencies. Balls died, they sailed, he was inaccurate. There were definitely multiple times where there was miscommunication between him and receivers. He looked flustered at times where took his eyes off downfield, where he didn't really feel comfortable with people around him. And these are some of the things that I'm only highlighting because these are also some of the things that he seemed to be doing exceptionally well at times in games. So when you see those things pop up, you just start to ask yourself, is there a catalyst? Is it because of is it a fight or flight situation because of the nature of the game? Is it, a bigger game? Is it the weather? But for some reason, there has to be something that it's synonymous with his bad games because I will say this, there is a silver lining to this bad game. And to be real with you, there's two instances like this, but he just came out differently. He didn't have a good game against Cleveland,
Yeah, it's
right?
just like the Cleveland game in a lot of
Yeah, he
ways.
did not have a good game against Cleveland. But the only difference is that Jake Moody
Moody made
missed.
pick, yeah.
Yeah, if you look at the drive that he had in Cleveland, the same exact things happened in the drive. He led the team down, put them in a position to make a kick. This time he led the team down, put them in a position for Christian McCaffrey to score on a would-be run. I I I really do feel as though that when he does struggle, I'll say this, he doesn't lose his nerve. That's huge. I don't see him lose heart. I don't see the moment become bigger than he is, right? The moment doesn't get bigger than him. Uh, but I just maybe if I'm being fair to Kyle, maybe he needs to see games like this for him to start understanding, like, all right, maybe I got to take a little bit off of him in these moments. Maybe I should start circling the wagons. I don't, for the life of me, I still don't understand why we don't use like a stable of backs. I watched Baltimore today. They used multiple running backs. Like I watched Houston today, they used multiple running backs. I don't understand why we are so fixated on just using Christian at all times. I feel like Jordan Mason against this defense would have been prime. This would have been the perfect game for Jordan Mason to have 5 to 8 carries, right? Or for Elijah Mitchell to have 5 to 8 carries. Like I just there could have been a way that we could have took the air out of football, scored twice, and actually had a nice position where we put our defense in a good enough position not to go against a team, that had the momentum. And that's really, you think about it, that's really something that we struggle with on defense that really doesn't get highlighted because we front run so much on teams where teams get taken out of the run. So we don't really get a chance to get ran against on our defense. But when you have a team that dedicates themselves to it off rip and they don't look at the scoreboard, that's just their identity, i.e. Cleveland, right? i.e. Baltimore, right? i.e. Green Bay, teams that Arizona, teams that refuse to stop running the ball on us, it works. It works. They just have to have enough on defense and a good enough defense of their own and a good enough defense on their own to combat what we do. I
They have
just
to stop this offense, and that's where it becomes a little difficult because in this particular game, part of stopping the offense was right. The quarterback didn't play so well. It's just hard to make a sweeping generalization based on him having one game. Like you said, it seems like there's been a trend with the wet footballs. We'll find out what he does next week in the playoffs. I tend to believe that he can play a lot better than in this because we've seen him play a lot better than this. There was issues where he was inaccurate today for the most part. I mean, a lot of even the passes he completed were, off the ground, stuff like that. But he stood in, like you said, and continued to throw it. He got lucky on a couple of really errant throws that kind of were floating, and it felt like they were waiting for somebody to pick it off, and they would just land magically in the middle of four people and drop. And so there were a couple things like that. But
Mhm.
it's hard for me to look at this game and be like, oh, he's the number one issue when I've seen him play a lot better than this. He had one bad game. It was a game that it felt like there was a lot of pressure on him. They were getting people around him. He was affected by it. His accuracy was a little off. They were throwing off his timing too. It felt like the timing was just half a step off, or he was throwing it a little bit earlier than he wanted to because someone was near him, or he was throwing it maybe a tad later because they moved him off of his spot. And he is a quarterback who relies on that precision. And when you throw it off a little bit, it throws off his accuracy and it throws off the entire offense. We'll find out how he continues to play, coach. But I think you nailed a lot of it. I think you nailed a lot of points about this team and their issues in situations like this. And it was certainly not his best game. In fact, it felt a lot like the Cleveland game to me. But like you said, at least he stood in and made a couple throws when it counted to get them the win.
Good. Thanks, man. Sunny Desire 999. Thank you, bro. Purdy is an issue. He almost had a couple of early picks that are uh, very similar to the area
Denver
Den's game.
game.
Oh, to the area Denver game. Hmm.
Oh, he said in the next one to the ball, similar to the Ravens game. I hate autocorrect. Oh, poor guy.
Oh, okay.
I
Similar
took
to
2 donations to do that.
you didn't have to do that, but
Yeah.
very similar to the Ravens game. He needs to be sharper. Well, one of the things is that Brock throws with a lot of anticipation. So I feel like when there are those picks, these are picks that safeties are flat-footed. They're driving on all of the intermediate and short routes. And a lot of that stuff is processed by Kyle. Double moves, choice routes, getting outside of the pocket and creating in plastic coverage. One thing that I feel like we do offensively is we try to get the ball from a short distance from A to B because optically it's short, it's quick, it gets Brock in the best position possible. It helps the offensive line and it gets the ball in minutia. When you're getting the ball quick, more oftentimes than not, you're not sitting for that ball. You're moving already. So you can keep running and get yards after the catch. That's kind of like the beauty when everything is working the right way on our offense. That's kind of like
Mhm,
what we shoot for. However,
mhm.
when you get defenses that understand, and that's when you start hearing people say, all you have to do is get in Brock Purdy's spots. You have to get inside those lanes. You have to be rough with the 49ers at the point of attack. Don't let them just dictate to you. We're going to see this again next week. We are.
By the way, that's also the next step of quarterback. This is a great point because I think sometimes it's hard for us to delineate or necessarily communicate what we mean by this. But when you're talking about the highest level of quarterbacks, and Brock Purdy had a really good season, he's definitely in the conversation with guys near the top of the league, but not probably at that Lamar Jackson, Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen level. The reason
Mhm.
is because when this starts to happen in the playoffs, when they start to throw off the timing a little bit of your bread and butter concepts, try to just make everything harder than it needs to be, right? That's the aim of the playoffs. Everything you do, they try to make it harder. You're still able to make those plays, right? This is the little things that we see from a CJ Stroud, for example, in the playoffs earlier, where you throw off their offense, you throw him off his spot. He's already preemptively finding that space in the pocket to give himself that time to make that throw, and then he puts it on the money. And that's an evolution for every quarterback that takes a different amount of time. It seems like it's innate for CJ Stroud right now. It seems like he walked into the NFL and he plays like a 10-year veteran. We'll see if that continues, but that's where he seems to be right now. Well, we'll find out. For Purdy, it could be a process. Today was not his best game, but that would be the next step for him. where when you do have these games where things are tight, when you do have these games where you have to play with people around you, you're still able to make the plays. You're still able to not get affected by it. And it's SLL is absolutely right. He hasn't played 2 complete seasons. It's the next evolution for him. That would be the next step. He's now a great executor of the Niners system.
We want to
When
be
things
fair.
are available, right? He's not Jimmy Garoppolo. He maximizes this offense when things are available. It's now that next step to become one of those great quarterbacks is when things are not available, you still make it happen. And I do think it was a step in the right direction with how the game ended, coach, towards that. Because for all the things that went wrong, he made a couple of his best throws when they needed to on third down on that final drive. And that's a step to me in the right direction. Like the throw to Brandon Ayuk when he was blanketed on third down, you finally get a man-to-man look with Brandon Ayuk and you take your shot and you rip it and he makes a great catch. Like those are the little things to me that show that Purdy's maybe got the capacity to get there. But I think it also showed that he's not there yet. And we'll find out with him in his career. But SLL is right. He's not played enough for us to just be like, oh, he's not that guy. He can't do it. They can't do it with him. Like he also is going through a learning and evolution process here. And this is part and parcel for the course with him. And we'll see.
Yeah, this is I mean, he threw the ball 39 times. This is the 6th time. This is
And only took one sack, by the way, while being under
he only
pressure.
took one sack. This is the 6th time that he's thrown for over 30. This is the 6th time that he's thrown for over 30 attempts in the season. And this is the highest attempts he's ever had this season at 39. The highest he had this season before that was 37, I believe, against the Giants in what was that? Week 2?
Week 3.
Week
Thursday
3.
night.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, they put a lot on him today, but I mean, for us to see, like, if he's the guy, right? This is what you need. This is what you need, right? So let's keep going, pushing through. Real talk, J Love is overrated. Danielle. Danielle, $5. Thank you. This is what Kim was talking about. Love, game changer. Purdy, game manager.
Love was showing it early, but Love also got rattled late in this game.
He got rattled. I mean, throwing against your body into coverage where nobody's there. That's an ill-advised throw.
Coming up and changing the protection and getting hot to 0 on 3rd and 1 with gotta have it moment right before the field goal, and then you drop right into their drop 7. And
he struggled. He
had his young quarterback moments too. This is his first year starting.
Exactly. Sunnydale, similar to the Ravens. I hate autocorrect.
Yeah.
Thank you. We got that before. Danielle, $5. Can you say with a straight face we're beating the Lions and Ravens? No, I cannot. All bets are off. You can't say anybody with a straight, because you know what? You know what's crazy? I have been trying my best to be as balanced as possible all year. And we have been getting blasted for it, right? Why are you being so negative? Why are you pointing things out? Ryan Tannehill. Oh, coach, you picked 9 and 8. And the whole 9. And this is the first time all year where I went full tilt homer. We're beating these dudes. There's no way we can lose to these guys. We're a far better team than these guys. We've got over 20 days rest. They understand what the playoffs are. These boys know we're the oldest team, most veteran, most talented team in the league. I don't want to hear it. These boys are ranked 28th in rushing. They hold the ball too long. They got a first-year starting quarterback. We own their coach. And this is what we turn out. A nail biter in the end for a walk-off pick. This was far from what I expected. Far. So no, I can't say with a straight face that we're beating the Lions or the Ravens. As a matter of fact, I feel like Ravens and Lions fans can say with a straight face, oh, we cannot wait to play the 49ers after watching this game. If I was a Ravens fan and I was a Lions fan, I love what I saw tonight from the Niners. That's facts. That's not I'm not trying to be mean. That's 100. If I was a Ravens fan and after we dogged the Texans and who was the 4 seed. All right. The 4 seed. They played the 4 seed. All right. And then I watched the Niners go play the 7 seed and watch them take them down to the wire. Yeah, I'd want to play the Niners. Just facts. Todd Tran, $2. Thank you. Agree with you, coach. Can't win shit playing for a field goal. Yeah, we can't. That was just that was bad form. It was ill-advised. It was a waste of resources. You don't do that to an offense that's supposed to be one of the best scoring offenses and one of the fastest scoring offenses in the league. Like you don't play for a field goal. Like, come on, man. You don't publicly neuter your team in front of everybody. You don't do that. Glass full $2. Thank you. Block played better in rain than Jordan. Duh. I don't know, Green. I don't know what you want me to say to this. They were both average, to be honest with you. Like net, they were both average.
I thought Love played a little bit better in this game for sure.
Yeah.
Niners capitalized on the 2 Love mistakes. The Packers didn't capitalize on the Purdy mistakes.
I feel like that kind of makes it a wash.
But okay, fair enough. Yeah, I think you could call it a wash because Love did struggle late in this game, and Purdy did pick it up late in this game. So yeah, fair enough. I guess fair enough.
Tony Nagatani, $4.99. Thank you. I came away from this game with an incredible amount of respect for LaFleur. Do you think the Niners might be better off with Mike LaFleur if he was the head coach? Well, first of all, he's got a legacy job too. I mean, being a head coach of the Packers ain't nothing to sneeze at. That's a lifetime job too. That's kind of like one of like the original 13 colonies of the NFL, like the Packers.
I think there's a big nuance to this point though between the two, and we'll find out. I don't necessarily want to answer this fully right now because Niners being better with Matt LaFleur as the head coach changes so many variables in this. But Green Bay has a great legacy of developing front office people and having organizational structure for how they manage the team and draft. They have the coach the football team, but like you brought up, it's like a Pittsburgh Steelers-esque that since
the draft and all is in-house.
They have infrastructure that has them doing it. And we've seen that whether it was Ted Thompson, whether it was Goody, they've done a really good job drafting and developing young players. I think that where Shanahan differs is that the infrastructure brought in to help the Niners drafting, the vision behind schemes, the vision behind what they're going to do, that's all what Shanahan has brought in. LaFleur brought a scheme to Green Bay, and he implemented a scheme on talented players that they were building up and bringing. Shanahan had to bring an organizational vision to the 49ers, a team that had no element of which direction they were going in. They just fired 2 coaches after a year. Jed York had Trent Baalke in his year, and that was the guy he trusted. He didn't know what to do or anything. Shanahan kind of had to build up this organization. That's where I think there's a nuance that makes it very difficult to just compare and say who's coaching better, because LaFleur gets the groceries bought and he puts a scheme for the groceries. And he cooks up a great dish. He's been cooking up great dishes this year. Shanahan has to go find the right butcher, to give him the right farmer, to find the right thing and do all of that, then get the groceries and create a nice dish.
Yeah. But at the end of the day, you still want to hear compliments to the chef. So
100%.
It's all about who gets it done.
He got out coached today. He did.
He did get out coached. I'm glad you said that, because I was thinking that in my head, like, well, if you really want to go head to head today, Mike LaFleur out coached Kyle.
Right. And for Matt LaFleur, that's the first time, honestly.
Yeah.
Kyle's been giving it to him.
Yeah. He outcoached him this time. He had a really good game plan for Kyle offensively and defensively. His team is too young. They're just not there yet.
They had the right approach on how to play the game too. And that's where, for all the Jordan Love credit, and we're already going a tad bit long, but for all the Jordan Love credit, I was most impressed by him with Dallas, because I thought structurally and schematically and just game script wise and all of that, they had the right plan to get the ball first, take it to Dallas, go right down the field. I thought all of those things were coaching points that went beyond Jordan Love. And for whatever reason, Matt LaFleur just doesn't get credited. Of the Shanahan guys that are successful, right? I feel like McDaniel, McVay, and Shanahan himself get way more credit and hype than LaFleur. For whatever reason, LaFleur is the guy that's considered like the dumb guy who was in the group with the smart guys. I don't think that's the case at all. He's clearly a very good coach. I thought that both coaching performances from him in the playoffs were excellent.
Yeah, if you're a Packers fan, you feel good about your season. I mean, you hate that you
And
lost, but
great
you feel
about your
good about your
team. Are
team.
you kidding?
Yeah, you feel really good about your team. Green Glassville, $5. Thanks, bro. Third string will never play again in NFL. Sold his home in the Bay for 20.7 millions. No funny stuff. Third
Who is
string will
this?
never play. Sold his home.
Oh,
Whoever got.
okay, I understand now.
Oh,
Okay.
okay. Oh, Trey
I
Lance.
thanks for the $5, dude. I
Yeah,
guess like
yeah.
I have not worried about the guy since he was traded.
Hey, man.
Like, what do
You
you
know what
want
I'm
me to
saying?
tell you to answer this question? But I don't know, Green Glassful, if you really wanted to tell this to us, so
This
that's
is like
completely
deep
okay.
state
But
recognition. I get it. I get it. I don't swim in that soup though. All right, we didn't win this game. We
yeah,
survived it.
what a
Want
summation.
this is, I mean, I wish we could give you the $2
Yeah. This is a
because
beautiful summation. This like
this is
sums up our
perfect.
entire show. And surviving a game is important. It's not something that the Niners have shown they can do. So, like, that's where I do think there's quality to it. But he's absolutely right. What came down to it is that they outlasted Green Bay. They just had held their nerve longer in this game, and then they put together one drive to win this game. Because Green Bay really, I mean, they gave it up by missing the kick, and yeah,
It was bad.
dude, that
So look,
big Aaron Jones run. Like once that hit, did it not feel over for a second in that moment? Him missing the kick
bro, bro,
really is
bro, bro, bro,
what
bro,
brought it back.
bro, bro. When Aaron Jones made that big run, I got up and just walked outside. I went and took Hannibal out for like 5 minutes. I was like, all right, come on, man. Let me just take use the bathroom. He didn't even have to use the bathroom. I was just like,
You
get up,
needed to
man.
use the bathroom.
I need to do something, man. Like I couldn't, man. Like I really thought that was kind of like the nail right there. So you got to own that. There were parts during this game where we all saw the season flash before our eyes. Honestly, in the chat, who's going to be the person in the chat? Who's going to be the person in the chat that's going to not admit the fact that there wasn't at least one instance in this game where you truly believe that the season was at jeopardy? Because I did. I did.
When he hit that run, when after the kickoff return, when they scored, and then we went 3 and out real quick, and Brock did not look great on the drive. They went 3 and out, and I said we because it was a we moment for me there. My nerves were on all kinds of edges. And then they get the ball back, and Aaron Jones hits that big run. That was the most deflating feeling. My phone started buzzing a little bit, and that's when I knew it was even more deflating. Man,
Dog, I thought it was over. I was freaking out, Vish.
yeah.
So for me, man, I love this quote right here. Maybe Luter can replace Ambry Thomas. I don't know if they would. I don't know if they would insert
Dude,
him
rookie corner in the
in
playoffs.
such. Yeah,
That's not even fair to Luter, even if he's
it's
more
not.
talented than Ambry
Yeah,
Thomas.
it's not. And you know what's crazy is that it's not even fair to Ambry Thomas because even if Luter comes in and balls out for 2 games, Ambry Thomas is gonna be sitting here the whole time like, so wait a minute. I lost my job because a dude had 2 decent games that you guys game planned around him so he could be
To be fair,
protected.
that's how Ambry Thomas got his job is after
That's
his
how he got
rookie
his
year in
job.
the
Yes.
first place. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, so for me, man, what are our next steps? We don't know who we're going to be playing. It's going to be between Detroit and Tampa. We'll find out tomorrow. Uh, but what are the main things, Coach Vish? You're the coach right now. What are you saying to this team after this game in the locker room?
Well, one, I don't know that I'm equipped to give such a speech.
You're the
So
coach, man.
I'm not Jimmy Johnson. That was fantastic on Fox last week. I don't have that kind of passion, that kind of emotion. What I will say is I think that the Niners should be proud. They should be glad they won this football game, but they should also feel an urgency. They might have come into this playoffs thinking that it was going to be as easy as the season was. They should feel the urgency of the playoffs now. They should feel their hair on fire. They should feel like crap. We're a little more vulnerable in this NFC than we thought because the 7 seed walked in here and they might have beat us, but we got the result. now that they're going to the next round, which is all that matters in the playoffs, I think there should be a greater focus. And I do expect them to play better. Yeah.
My speech to them will be, are you guys awake now? Do you guys understand that nobody is playing around with y'all? That was the number 7 seed in the playoff bracket. 4 years ago, they wouldn't even have made the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? We got to wake up.
They had to win 3 in a row to make the playoffs.
Come on, man. Like, and then we got other teams like the Bills who haven't lost since they've been on their streak before they got into the playoffs. Right. We got teams like the Ravens who came in here and stomped a mud hole in us and walked us dry. So you don't think that the Lions, their entire culture is us against the world? That's their whole culture right now.
Mm-hmm.
I'm telling you, man, we got away with a lot today. And I don't know how you coach up some of the things that I saw today. That's why it's worrisome. Because some of the things that you saw today were just effort. You know, getting beat in the run game is like, you know, you're getting your ass whooped in the run game, bro. I can't, you know what I mean? Like, you scared, get a dog. I can't help you. I can't help you in the run game, Sebastian Joseph Day. I can't. He's struggling. He's struggling at defensive tackle. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Like, one of the things that
he's used to being a 5 technique, right? It's a little different when you're used to being a 5 technique, 2 gapping in a penny front or playing in a 3-4 front, and now you're stuck inside and having to play true 3 technique right over the guard. It's a little different.
So look, bro, what do you got planned for the week?
Dude, I don't know. It's the usual streaming schedule on Monday with Rob. I think Tuesday is me and Larry. I think Thursday will be Larry, Jesse, and I. I hope to fill something in with you but you and I will be back after the NFC Championship game next week for sure.
Hell yes.
We'll be doing this. Tonight, though, I'm just looking forward. It's my buddy's birthday. We're going out with 2 of my friends who are huge Packers fans. One of them, everybody might remember, is my good pal Blake, who
Blake!
Yeah, so I'm really excited. I would not have left my house if this was happening, but now, yeah, I'm gonna be leaving my house, maybe watching the rest of Strickland and Duplessis there, and having a good rest of my night. Because, man, Coach, if they had lost this game, the way it was going, the stress that I was under, it would have. I don't know that I would have gotten over it.
Bro, I'm gonna tell you this right now, man. If they would have lost this one, man, I don't even know if we'd have been able to stream.
Coach, I might have told you, Coach, I'm sick. I'm not feeling good.
I'd have told you,
I would have really been sick. I would have really been sick, to be honest, sick to my stomach. Because it wouldn't, if they lost this game, and we'll end it here because I can go on and on about if they would have lost this game and they didn't. But if they would have lost this game, Coach, I literally, like, the way they lost it, like in this fashion, there would have been nothing to say.
No questions whatsoever.
They literally got dominated. Or that's how at points in this game, that's how it was feeling the trending. It didn't go there and they won. So yeah.
Hey man. Right now I got Vish. I got you coming up. We do got to link up during the week, man.
Because I feel like after the game, too many emotions, too much conversation. I think we can get into more details during the week and really get into maybe some Oh, there we go. Look at this.
There we go, right here.
RJN, something like that for sure.
Perfect.
Because, oh my God, that clock management at the end of the half
was ass, bro.
It's the second worst. It's the second worst clock management decision of this playoffs after his buddy McVay.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm gonna tell you, man, that was such a bad decision. But you know, we'll get into it. So look, hey man, we're moving on. It is what it is. We bitched and moaned about it. Ain't nothing we could do about it. 13-5. Everything's still intact. Looks like we did fairly okay on the injury front. We'll see what they talk about with Debo. Got to get that run game together.
That's the big thing.
That's a huge thing. Got to get that run game together on both sides of the ball. Got to dedicate to the run on offense. You got to be able to stop the run on defense and understand that teams know we can't do it. So they're going to have to be able to stick to it. Offensive line needs to step up. All right. Kyle, trust your boys. Right now, we're signing off. This is the coach. This is Vish. Stay low and keep your feet moving.
There we go.